The offshore operations of some of Scotland's biggest companies are detailed in the Paradise Papers. We can reveal. Leading firms in commerce, finance, and industry are named as clients of law firm Appleby. Engineering giants Weir Group, chemical multinational INEOS, which operate the Grangemouth refinery, and investment group Aberdeen Asset Management are among the firms named in the documents detailing their business with the law firm, based in Bermuda. Appleby specializes in offshore legal services, helping financial institutions, global corporations and millionaires register companies and trusts overseas, and the leak of 13.4 million documents details the previously confidential business of 120,000 organizations and individuals. The leak detailing their clients' offshore operations last week put the spotlight on the complex overseas business arrangements of the world's wealthiest companies, institutions, and public figures, including the Queen, Apple and F1 driver Lewis Hamilton. Appleby's work is often intended to reduce clients' tax liabilities, but there is nothing to suggest any of the Scottish firms have acted illegally. Part of Appleby's work for some of the firms involved arranging payment of salaries and bonuses to some of their 30,000 staff from offshore accounts. Some of these bonus schemes have been questioned by the tax authorities, with staff paying just 10% on bonuses instead of 40% they should have paid if they were in the highest income tax bracket. They might also mean less national insurance contributions for employers. In 2016, the UK Supreme Court ordered banking giants Deutsche Bank and USB to pay taxes on bonuses they had paid to investment bankers offshore 12 years previously. After being contacted yesterday, the firm said their business with Appleby had been routine and denied going offshore to avoid tax. The Weir Group said the group's employee benefit trust is purely administrative, with all benefits paid to our employees around the world, subject to local taxation. For our UK-based employees, that means paying all pay and national insurance contributions in full. The trust is registered with HMRC and fully complies with UK legislation. The group gains no corporation tax advantage from the trust. INEOS at first denied using Appleby, but later came back to say it had used the law firm in the past, but not for several years. It denied the law firm were involved in anything to do with the company's bonus scheme. Aberdeen Assets said it had used a company associated with Appleby in Jersey to help pay bonuses to staff under a staff share scheme. He said the payments were all fully taxed in the UK at UK levels, and that it used an offshore structure for the payments because of the quality of service provided by the firm and not in an effort to minimize its tax bill. Meanwhile, there are calls for Nicola Sturgeon to close a loophole that allows offshore companies to face less scrutiny in what properties they own in Scotland compared to the rest of the UK. At a meeting of the British-Irish Council, the First Minister demanded more transparency and the tightening of regulations allowing firms and individuals to slash their tax bills. She said we must have rules and regulations in place that properly promote tax transparency but also operate to close down any tax loopholes people are using in order to unfairly minimize the tax that they pay. But campaigners said action, not words, are needed amid escalating fears Scotland is becoming a soft touch for anyone wanting to hide their wealth in property. The Paradise Papers revealed how unscrupulous firms use offshore structures to get around paying tax while buying and selling land across the UK. The Scottish Government previously dropped a proposal banning the overseas ownership of land and property in Scotland, but critics claim it is more difficult and expensive to discover who owns property here than in the rest of Britain. Last week, the Land Registry of England and Wales made a move to give free access to the public that allows them to see what British and overseas companies hold land and buildings in England and Wales. The commercial and corporate ownership data and overseas companies' ownership data, published last Tuesday, contain more than 3 million rows of data, including the address, company's name, price paid and country of incorporation, along with other information about the firms. The free service casts a light on the secretive offshore firms who are buying up vast swathes of English and Welsh property for the first time. In London, it is estimated 40,000 properties are owned by secretive offshore companies, leading to fears it could be used by criminals to hide their ill-gotten gains. But in Scotland the same information is expensively restrictive. Discovering the properties owned in Scotland by an overseas firm or individual from the managers of the Scottish Land Registry, Registers of Scotland, would cost up to £1,600.